Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Nowadays I'm exploring the Captain Sim Boeing 777-300ER, and in this regard I'm just doing a series of videos. This is, I think, probably the 6th or the 7th video that I'm trying to do for the Captain Sim Boeing 777-300ER. And in this video I will explain it to you how to perform an RNP approach using the Captain Sim Boeing 777-300ER. As this plane is equipped with a GPS navigational device, so that's why it's easy to perform an RNP approach. RNP actually stands for Required Navigational Precision, and no ground-based navigational device is required for this kind of an approach. All is done on the basis of the GPS, and it's very interesting. It's slightly different than the ILS if you talk about the systems, but in theory it's different. Let me just first of all open the chart so that I can just explain it to you, and from there I will just take you. If you're feeling that RNP approach is difficult or you will not be able to perform it, trust me, if you have carried out ILS, you can easily do RNP. Okay, so for the ILS approach, if I open the charts, as you can see, this flight is from Lahore to Islamabad, and it's going to be a short flight for 45 minutes. That's why I'm at the runway. I didn't start it in the air. So because I've got really short time, I'll explain everything to you during this video. So you can see for Islamabad International Airport, there are 4 different approaches. You can land at 10 right, 10 left, 28 left, and 28 right. I will be selecting 28 right for the landing, and for 28 right, there are 3 different types of approaches: ILS, RNP, and VOR. ILS and VOR actually use a ground-based navigational device for the precision, and it's also known as the precisional landing. It's kind of tough, but the RNP is non-precisional, and you will be requiring high accuracy for the GPS in order to land the plane. When you talk about ILS, there is actually a localizer, a device which transmits a radio frequency which is picked up by the plane in order to get the alignment with the runway. So the plane is coming from this direction, if say from the right side. So the plane knows that it's going directly towards the runway. It's properly aligned with it. Lateral alignment with the runway is complete. It's accurate because of the frequency emitted by the localizer. So if it's coming on the right side or on the left side, it's deviated. From there you can easily see it by changing it to approach, and you can see whether you are aligned with the runway or not. So this is one thing. Another thing is the glide slope. You have to actually follow this glide slope, which is 3 degrees right now. For it's 3.15 degrees. Sorry, this was the distance. 3.15 degrees for the runway 28 right. So this is the glide slope that the plane follows. It intercepts it at 3,700 feet. So you have to be at 3,700 feet in order to intercept that. And the moment you are here, if you have activated the approach button, then the plane will automatically start to move towards the runway, and will actually pitch down by 3.51 degrees, and it keeps on descending till the point it touches the runway at the right point. So it's a precision landing device, and with the help of this device you can easily land the plane. Now, what is the difference in the RNP approach? In RNP, as I've told you, no ground-based navigation device is required. But what happens is this, that a plane knows that at this point you should be at 3,700 feet, and in this point you should be at 1,750 feet. So you have to descend by a certain what you can say height. So the plane actually follows this calculation and descends towards the runway. It's easy right now. There's not so many points coming in, but if you are performing an RNP for Kathmandu International Airport, there are so many points just before the runway that you should be at this altitude by this point and this altitude by this point. So every time when a plane is at that what you can say GPS coordinate, if this altitude is not achieved, then the plane tries to achieve it. So in this phase, again, you don't enter the ILS frequency, because if you're performing an ILS approach, one of the another difference is that you have to go over here and then you have to enter the ILS frequency, which is given over here. If I show you this chart, this is the ILS frequency 110.7. So if your plane is equipped with a ILS equipment, then the plane will automatically pick up the ILS frequency. If it is given over here, then you will see two diamonds on this side and on this side, and then you will know that you are properly aligned with the runway, and your plane is actually following the glide slope. So you have to enter this frequency. In RNP, you don't enter any radio frequency. All you do is this: you simply update the flight plan and select runway 28 right RNP for the approach, and the plane automatically calculates that at if this point it has to be at 3,700 feet, and if at this point it has to be at 1,700 feet, so how much it has to descend in order to touch the runway at the right point. Visuals are also very important in this kind of a landing because lateral, what you can say, alignment will not be coming, so you have to visually look at the runway. And in this kind of a landing, papillites are also very important, which I will show it to you once we are about to land. What I'm going to do is this: I have updated the complete flight plan, but I have skipped approach. So I'm going to select the approach right now, and you can see so many approaches coming. ILS 10 right Y, 10 right Z. You just skip all this and you go to RNAV. There are, if a runway is equipped with an ILS and your plane is also capable of performing an ILS approach, then obviously you'll go for an ILS. But as I'm showing it to you in this video, RNAV approach, that's why I'm trying to select the RNAV, although I can also select ILS. So what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to select 28 right RNAV, and then from the flight plan and from the charts, you can know that which transition point you have to select. So let's say if I start, so Indy 1A is the start that I will be using. So if I select this chart, Indy 1B is coming, and let me just check that if I get Indy 1A. Yes, Indy 1A or Index 1A. So if I'm coming from this direction, I will be approaching the runway from this direction. So Index is the point from where I will go to this point ISRO. So this is my transition point, and from the sim brief flight plan, I will get the star, which is Indy 1A, which is there in the flight plan. Okay, so this is how you do it. You select RNAV approach 28 right, and then you select the transition, and then you select the star Indy 1A. So I will just keep this chart open so that once I am approaching this runway, I will be following all the constraints. Over here at this point, I should be at 6,000 feet. Speed should not be more than 220 knots. And that's it. And plus, I will also be turning on this option data so that I can see the constraints on the navigation display. So now I'm going to take this plane up in the air, and as soon as I'm near Index, then from there, I will tell you how to perform an RNAV approach. Now, as you can see that I am almost near ISRO, and at this point, I should be 6,000 feet and above. Right now, 2,000 feet to go, and I'm below 10,000 feet right now. The speed is at 250 knots. So let's open this chart as well for the approach, and let's see whether everything is going good or not. So right now you can see that I'm approaching Punop, and afterwards I will be at ISRO. So the navigation is going good, and all we have to do is this: just cross RNAV and IS 410 for the landing. This is my final descent point. Let's close this, and let's look at legs, RNAV and IS 410. At this point, RNAV, my altitude should be 3,700 feet. So right after ISRO, you can see RNAV 3,700 coming. So everything is good so far. Although after Punop to ISRO, descend to ATC assigned level. So ATC gives you this level. If you are flying with ATC, then obviously you will be getting instructions from the ATC. As for this video, I'm not using ATC. That's why I will just follow this chart. So everything is good so far, and you can see the plane is moving towards ISRO. I will further reduce the speed to 220 knots after Punop, and I think just before ISRO I should be at flying at 220 knots. With this, what I can do is this, as I am below 265 knots, so that's why I can extend the flaps to position 1. I can set auto brakes to 3, arm the speed brakes, prepare the cockpit for the landing. What else? Nothing else is required. Yes, one more thing. Approach settings, just go to this page, and for the approach, you select the flaps position 30 degrees, which is full flaps, and the speed is 158 knots for the approach. 158. So this is one thing that we have to keep in our mind. So right now, the plane is about to level off at 6,000 feet. So before ISRO, we are at the given altitude. Right now, you can see the Margala Mountains. Islamabad is at the foot of the Margala Mountains. Beautiful view in the winters, and plus in the summers when it's monsoon, it's raining. These mountains look really beautiful. I've been there many times. I've almost been living there for the last 23 years. So it's one of the beautiful cities I've ever seen. So ISRO is 11 nautical miles away. What I can do is this, I can further reduce the speed, and I will keep it at 220 knots. When the VRAM is active, you can press this button, and then you can adjust the speed. So it's easy. I've explained it to you in one of the videos for this plane covering the autopilot. So as the speed is going below 220 knots, so I can, you can see by 225 knots, I can have flaps at position 20. So I will set the flaps at position 20, because then after ISRO, I have to, descend to 3,700 feet. If the flaps are not active, then, or extended, then the vertical speed will be affected. So you should have flaps so that once the plane is descending, the speed doesn't increase. It remains within the range, because flaps provide drag. So a little more distance to cover. You can also perform a hold over here at this point, ISRO. You have to be really careful while forming an RNP approach, and soon after ISRO, I will just descend to 3,700. It is helpful to learn this type of approach, because there are some runways in this world which are not equipped with ILS or localizer. So then you have to perform what you can say an RNAV approach. A few days back, I was trying another runway, and it has got a VOR approach. No RNAV, no ILS, nothing, only VOR or visual. So in one of my videos, I will also cover this point, how to perform a VOR approach. So right now what I can do is this, I can press this button, and we can further descend to 3,700 feet. As you can see now, I'm in the range of the runway. So that's why this deviation started to come, the vertical deviation, which tells you how much deviated you are from the path. So we are at a higher altitude right now. If this triangle is below this line, it means you are coming at a higher altitude. If this triangle is above this center line, it means you are coming at a lower altitude. And if this triangle is in the middle, it means you will be able to intercept what you can say the glide slope, not for the ILS but for the RNAV approach. And then the plane will automatically calculate that if at this point at Phoenix, if the plane's altitude is at 3,700 feet and it has to be 1,470, 1,750 if I'm not wrong, then what? One more thing, I forgot to do that, and this is to set the minimums. As you can see, the decision height is 430 feet. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to, for the radio, can I set the decision height? Or I can set the barrow. Okay. So let's set the barrow 2,180. I should have done it before. So this decision height should be also entered so that you can hear this call out minimum. And with this, what I can do is this. I can, as you can see, this triangle is now moving in the middle. I can also activate approach. So now you can see everything went well. And at Phoenix, my altitude was good. I can further reduce the speed. I can keep it at 160 because we are almost near the runway. And now you can see that approach is active, but soon LNAV will be deactivated, and then the plane will actually, no, LNAV will remain active. Sorry, it's not an ILS approach. So LNAV will be there. Okay, so now the speed is getting reduced. I can extend the flaps. And now you can see the descent has automatically started because I pressed this button approach. Now in this type of landing, let me also set the barrow 2,180. Okay, I can close this. Let me just check if I've turned on the lights. I have not turned on the lights. Okay. Seatbelt signs are on. Speed brakes are armed. Flaps at position 25. Great. And now you can see this triangle jumped. It will come down. And now the final descent point is also coming. So as the approach is active now, so that's why the plane will actually start to follow. And now you can see the descent has started. So that's the beauty of the RNAV approach. And one more thing, just let me lower the gears and extend full flaps. Let me just show you that there is no ILS frequency over here. So that's why you cannot see the ILS indicators, vertical and lateral. Right now, the plane is descending. Just keep an eye on the PAPI lights. You can see these PAPI lights. If two are white, two are red, it means you are following the glide slope. If all white, it means you're coming at a higher altitude. If red, it means you're coming at a lower altitude. So you try to keep them two white and two red. So as visuals are also important in this type of approach, you have to keep an eye on the runway because you're what you can say. Now, as the approach is active, you can see the VRAM is now deactivated. And with this, what I can do is this. I can disengage the autopilot and then I can land. My landings are really bad, so kindly ignore that. This video was not about the landing. It's about the VRAM. RNAV approach and landing. So hopefully today is also a good landing. Speed is under control. And everything is good. So now what I can do is I can disengage the autopilot and also disarm the auto throttle, and now I can try to land. I think I will be properly aligned with the runway. Now it's time to pitch down a bit. You can see 2 white, 2 red. It means I'm following. Now red, it means I'm low, which is okay. All white now, it means I'm high. Reverse thrust activated, and this was a landing. I hope it was a good landing, below 80. And now brakes. So that's how you perform an RNAV approach. I hope it was a good video. You have been able to learn something from this video, and now you will be able to perform an RNAV approach. Just to revise and just to go back, just select the RNAV approach while you're selecting the approach in the FMC, the flight management computer. And once you are near the runway, just press the APP or the approach button, and as soon as the plane is at the final descent point, the plane will automatically start to follow the glide slope and will actually, although the glide slope is for the ILS, but I'm just using it for those people who are actually new to the flight simulation. So it means it's your descent path for the landing. So your plane will actually follow that descent path, and eventually it will land. So I hope you have learned something from this video. If you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. If you want to ask me a question, the comment section is again there for you. With this, I would just like to end my video. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.